Hello friend, thanks for joining for another video blog. Nice to have you here. Thanks for your time, your energy, and I know how busy you are, so thanks for pausing in the middle of your day to watch this video. So I'm gonna dive right into it. Today I'm talking and teaching some concepts about imposter syndrome, and I'm gonna define very soon what that is. But as I speak to people every week, either my current clients or people that I connect with that have interest in work with me, and because I attract a lot of high achievers who are struggling with anxiety and stress, when I dive deeper into what is the root of that stress, the anxiety, that discomfort, I'm finding a root called the imposter syndrome disease. Now I put quote unquote because of course it's not a disease. It's not even a condition. It's just a psychological term that was coined by two psychologists back in the 1978. And what imposter syndrome means is a pattern of thoughts and feelings of not recognizing our success, not recognizing our accomplishments. We just might think that we got lucky, or a mistake happening, it worked out, and we have hard time owning what we create. And I say we because even though a lot of time when I was researching a lot of like the root of this type of anxiety, I thought first, well, that's not me. And then I sat down to reflect a little deeper, and I realized that we all suffer at times imposter syndrome. And in different levels, just like anything, just like stress, anxiety, there's a spectrum and a different intensity. And I'll share during this video my story with imposter syndrome, but let's go into the content. So how do you know you suffer with imposter syndrome? Well, you ever catch yourself when you digging underneath fear, and as I do, just even when I just interview my clients to see if they're a good match for my coaching, when I go deeper into their stress, I hear things like I feel like I'm a fraud. Even some of my current clients use this expression: I'm a fraud, I'm a fake. I fear that people are gonna catch me, like I have all the success outside, but deep inside I don't feel I deserve. So another condition of imposter syndrome is that feeling that we're not worthy of the success. So what do you feel in that state? Usually, if you suffer from imposter syndrome, you have chronic self-doubt, chronic fear of failure or fear of making mistakes. Most likely you're a perfectionist. Things need to be perfect, otherwise you won't even start. So you're waiting for that day until it's perfect. The perfect day for you to make a video, the perfect day for you to open a business, or having the perfect education, whatever that is. And the confidence, it's low. With that, there's a lot of insecurity, a lot of sense of not being competent. And the truth is, it's all an illusion. Because the people who suffer with imposter syndrome are the people who already have a tremendous level of success. Internal success that is reflecting also in external success. But if we don't have any success, we don't have imposter syndrome. So the good news, if you suffer imposter syndrome, congratulations, you're a successful person. So why is this so important? Why did I decide to make this video about imposter syndrome? Because if you don't address imposter syndrome, you will suffer with anxiety and stress. You become stressed out. As I always say, stress is good, but becoming stressed out, it's not. It blocks your creative process. Also, you miss opportunities. You might be in a room where there's an opportunity for you to show up, to embrace a new project, or to start a business, to get a new client, and you might shy away because of your insecurity, because you don't think you're good enough. So you miss opportunities which will stop your process of growth. In some cases, if it's a severe, a high intensity of imposter syndrome, might even lead to depression because you playing small, you're not creating the life you want. You know you can do better and you're not. So with that comes shame as well, which is one of the most toxic emotions, really, that feeling that you know you can do much better, that you have a lot to offer to the world, but you're not. And that leads to shame. And all that would lead to a very unhappy life. So that's why I'm sharing this with you, calling your attention of awareness around this topic and give you some insights that hopefully can help you. So why you want to address this, and it's so important, because when you're aware that this is present, just like any emotion, you overcome it. The moment you address and you look at that kind of that monster, if you will, on the eye, you already take the force of that thing away. So you start to overcoming. And then of course there's some strategy you want to use to really overcome the imposter syndrome. But through that process of overcoming, you build confidence, because you start taking actions towards your goal, towards your dream. And with that, the confidence muscle starts to grow. When confidence grows, also by default, your competence grows. So competence and confidence go hand to hand. You start growing, and with that, you start to feel better about yourself. Your self-esteem goes up. You get stronger, and you start living your life fearlessly. And that's so important. When I talk about live your life fearlessly, it's not like the absence of fear. It's just an attitude that you have the fear. Fear is always present with us, but you move through no matter what. So super important to address this so you don't become prone to anxiety, to stress, and even to depression, or experience those feelings of shame. So I put here, just you have a reference, a picture in your mind, because it might be easier to learn. A lot of people are visual, but these are the symptoms of imposter syndrome: chronic state of self-doubt, perfectionism, anxiety, fear of failure. And I did not create this 4 bullet points here. This was created by this researcher. Her name is Liz Solomon. She has a TED Talk about imposter syndrome. So she calls this the Fantastic Four, which are the characteristics, the traits of somebody who is suffering imposter syndrome. So before I give you some insights here how to start addressing this, I'll share with you a little personal story. I remember when I was just becoming a coach, I became so passionate about stress and helping high achievers, like the C-suite achievers, CEOs, presidents of companies, owners of big companies. I want to go straight to the top chain and really work with the CEOs of companies and help them handle stress better, help them to manage energy. And I thought, if I can start making changes on the top of the company, then the whole company changes. I had this big dream, and the dream is still there. And when I would get a call from a CEO or somebody like important or super smart, I totally went into this imposter syndrome condition. I would ask myself, who am I to be coaching a CEO because they're super smart? And I started creating these stories that I was not probably smart enough. I didn't have enough credibility to be coaching them, even though they're just human beings with the same problems that you, me have, not just because they have more money, a big title, but that is how this condition showed up in my life. And if I don't watch it, it sneaks in once in a while. When I get a phone call from somebody super smart, powerful, in my mind, I can go to that space like, oh, am I smart enough to coach these people? And then I catch myself in that moment. And I'm like, Alex, you're just helping another person how to handle stress better, how to unleash their superpowers, unleash their creativity, cultivate that state of calm, being centered, so they can show up in their best. So I debunked that very quickly. So I'm going to share some of these insights with you. So if you think you're struggling with this, these are some of the solutions. So number 1, if you believe you have this imposter syndrome thing because you feel like a fraud, sometimes you feel like a fake, you're not worth of success, this is the first thing you want to do. Be aware. Be aware that you're suffering this. You allowing this condition, this psychological condition, or simply this pattern of thoughts and emotions to control your life. So be aware that it's like, yes, I tend to be a perfectionist. I'm in constant self-doubt. So just the fact that you become aware, you start taking the force away from this pattern. Number 2, list in a piece of paper all your limiting beliefs, because the root of the imposter syndrome, the root of this thought pattern is your core beliefs. The core beliefs that live in your body, that got installed in your body in your childhood. So a lot of people who suffer, especially the high achievers are the ones that suffer the most with imposter syndrome, sometimes come from parents who value achievement. So as a kid, you might learn that in order to be loved, you need to be achieving a lot. And sometimes even when you're achieving a lot, your parents still don't recognize. You might come with straight A's home and your parent might still say, well, maybe that class was too easy for you. So parents who value high achievement, parents who can be, they can criticize a lot. A lot of kids grew up with a lot of criticism around them. They can develop imposter syndrome. Or sometimes, even if the parents didn't do any of that, at some point, and we're growing up, we adopt a belief. We make an unconscious decision around success. So define what success is for you. Find those core beliefs around success, because that is the root of this imposter syndrome. And so again, this is all a work of awareness. Okay, this is the framework I use with a lot of my clients. And of course, I use all the strategies with my clients, like mental emotional release. That's what really cleans up all those roots. But I want to give you something now that you can start working. Create new beliefs. Once you name those beliefs, you define what happiness means to you, then you can find some lack of congruence there, some beliefs that you want to change. So create new beliefs around success for you. And the last one, of course, you can do all this work yourself and have results, and it might take a long time. When you work with a mentor or a coach that asks you the right questions and gives you some, personalized strategies just for you. In my case, I use personalized strategies, of course, but I also do breakthrough sessions where I do, I practice a therapy called mental emotional release, where we go underneath, we go into the unconscious mind, which is basically our body. That's all our learnings, our behaviors, all our beliefs are installed in our unconscious mind. So mental emotional release is a technique, it's a therapy model that releases all those beliefs that will dissolve the imposter syndrome. If not completely, because it can show up. When it shows up, you just know how to address right away, and you don't suffer of this syndrome anymore. So when you work with a coach, of course, you accelerate your process. That's why I work with two coaches. I work with a business coach, and I work with a spiritual teacher that helps me to address my own shadow of a high achiever, because I've been in this topic. This is part of a series of the shadow high achievers. So being one, my shadow shows up, and that's why I have a teacher. So of course, if you're interested in accelerating this process of really decreasing, eliminating the syndrome, hire somebody, work with somebody. If you're interested in learning more about my work, just message me, send me a message here under comments, or personal message me, or just email me, alex@vitale, VITALE studio.com, alex@vitalestudio.com, and show me a message, and we can have a conversation about how mental emotional release can really help you to address these issues. If not now, start just work on these 4 things, or those 3 things I would say: awareness, list your limiting beliefs, create new beliefs around success, and see if you can start dissolving these issues of self-doubt, anxiety, all those insecurity, low confidence issues, all those things that I list already. So I hope this helped you. If you find this helpful, please share this video. Help me to grow this audience. Share in your social channels. Email this to a friend, because I'm sure if you don't have this issue, I'm sure you know somebody around you that it's suffering from this syndrome, and you have an opportunity to help somebody. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again.